Okay, so in this video, we're going to look at putting together the A, B, C, and D to find trigonometric transformations. And the first thing we're going to do is find the vertical transformations, which involve the vertical numbers. So that's 2 and -4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that A is basically the amplitude. There's cases where A is not quite the amplitude, we have negative. But I'm just going to assume this one, that A is positive. The difference between 2 and -4 is 6. So my A value is half of 6, which is 3. Now when I times my cosine graph by 3, the highest point will be 3. Normally the highest point is 1. If I stretch it, my highest point is now 3. Looking here at my highest point, it's 2. So what have I done? I've just taken 1 away. So that was actually a very straightforward A and D. Now to find B and C, they're the ones inside that bracket there, and they're the horizontal transformations, and we're going to use the X values here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work out the period. Now we can see that we have actually only covered between those two values half of a period. So my period is 2 lots of the difference between 5 pi over 6 and pi over 3. So this is 2 times 5 pi over 6, take away 2 pi over 6. In the bracket, I've got 3 pi over 6. I times it by 2, my period is pi. Now, the B number I always get by taking my regular period, which is always 2 pi. I always divide it by B, and I get the period of the transformed graph. Bit of rearrangement here means that B is equal to 2. Let's start writing everything out that we know apart from the C number, which is always the problem. So 4 cosine 2x plus C take away 3. It should be a 3. So I've written everything out that we know. Now I'm going to substitute in a point. So let's substitute in this point here at the top. 2 is 2 for y, and 5 pi over 6. So x is 5 pi over 6. So it becomes 2 lots of that plus c take away 1. Let's simplify this a bit. Let's add 1 to both sides to give me 3. Divide by 3 to give me 1. Now I've got 2 ways of doing this now. What I'm going to do is the first way is I'm going to take off the cosine. So this might be the thing that you get confused with most, is I'm going to take off the cosine. So imagine I'm doing that, and I'm going to arc cos, or cos the -1 of both sides. Y has to be 0 to give me that answer. I can do that without a calculator. Just think of the cosine graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 0, and I've got what you could think of as y as the bracket. And so we can see there that C is equal to -5 pi over 3. And that works perfectly. That actually will be a perfect graph. However, some people like to keep that C, it could be the equivalent of -5 pi over 3. So maybe it's a little bit more difficult to get in your head, but we could have had one equals cosine, and the equivalent doing 5 pi over 3, I could also have done that as minus pi over 3. We'd have ended up in the same place. That's 0, and that's minus pi over 3 plus c. So we could have had c as pi over 3. And that works because I'm thinking about this part here and this part here giving me exactly the same answer. Think about your unit circle and your angles between 0 and 2 pi. So actually my final answer, if you got it, is y equals 3 cosine 2x plus pi over 3. The tidiest answer minus 1.